Recording in progress.
Yeah. Welcome to the Midwest Hunting Brief with Spencer Jones. Who are you?
Adam Belfie.
Adam Belfie. Look at your
host.
background. Show you off your background. That's pretty cool. Yeah. Brooklyn, Michigan. I need some Montello, Wisconsin back here.
You do.
I like this thing. I got to fix this boom though. All right. So this is like one of, I don't know, we've had a couple trial runs, a couple intoxicated nights of trying out podcasting. And the one night we tried to record and I think we timed out or something, but we're going to give her a whirl today, see if we can get a good version to come through and maybe post her up on YouTube. It's the goal today, right?
Yeah, for sure. We just want to get together and have a couple little, just have a couple conversations about what's going on
in the hunting
like
world.
Today we want to talk about December deer hunting, all right?
Yeah, December deer hunting. It's the 5th of December, beginning of December. And fuck, it goes December, every month goes by quick. Every month.
Hey, run these guys down through like where you're at right now, man. Like what's going on, what you got going on, how your season's been going. If you can give us a quick rundown so that way they kind of know like why your tactics are the way they're going to be. You know what I mean?
All right. Well, for me, for December, I focus basically it almost goes back to like early season. Like I'm kind of observing. I try to stick to hunting food and just, basically seeing where the deer are moving. It's a different time in the woods because the deer have been ultimately pressured by gun season. And right now we're at the tail end of muzzleloader in Wisconsin. We got 3 days left. Today's Monday. Wednesday it closes. So Wednesday will be the last day to get a gun buck with your muzzleloader, and then it'll be back to bow season here if you still have a bow tag. But just observing, seeing where the deer are really moving in the daylight, because I've been getting a lot of nocturnal pictures of deer, and that's pretty typical after gun season because the Orange Army invades the woods. And my neighbor's like, well, there wasn't that much hunting pressure. Well, I'm like, you still have people walking in the woods at dark, in the morning. You're bumping deer. You're coming out, you're bumping deer. And a lot of people that gun hunt they see closing time and they don't care about not spooking deer off food plots. They care less. They're like, my watch is closing time. I'm walking out of the woods. Whereas a bow hunter, a lot of guys have taken on to the fact that you can't bump deer out of the woods if you want to see mature bucks all the time. They have like secret ways to walk to their stands. They plant food plot screenings, trees specifically designed to hide their roots into their stands and out. And some of these gun hunters, there's just no fucks given at all. They don't care. They're just like, I'm walking right out in the middle of the field, who cares? And the deer see that and they're, they learn not to come out till it's dark. So that's a problem, is the pressure. So taking the pressure off where you're hunting is going to be a big thing, trying to move a little secretly within your property, whether you got 20, 40 acres, maybe find an easy access stand to observe where the deer are moving. And right now you want to fill the freezer. So you want to shoot, a doe or whatever, you want to fill your buck tag yet. So, because right now, the tail end of gun season, I'm kind of observing the does and looking for a buck, but I'm also observing the does. So late doe season opens, boom, I can set up right on one of those does and plug one.
Fucking hey. So you did some work though this year, like you put some food plots in, and you got your farm there at where you hunt, and you got a pretty good setup there now. Like, what you kind of plan for this, like in the beginning of the year, kind of December, a lot of people, I feel like when you first start hunting, it's like a lot of guys stay out of the woods, and if you go in the woods, there's probably less hunters there. There's been a lot of hunters in the woods the last like 3 weeks, and now there's going to be probably at least the amount of hunters that are going to be in the woods all year, So
yeah, definitely.
Like, do you think you're like, what did you do with like your food plots and stuff like that to kind of like set yourself up for December?
Well, I tried to get something that was gonna, last into the season longer. That was my main goal, is to grow enough food to keep the deer there through rut primarily, and then into rifle season. And then I try to kind of aim for late season. If you try to push for late season in the beginning, I mean, you're gonna cover rut and rifle, obviously. So um I try to get the beans in, but unfortunately I didn't get enough beans in early enough to pot out, where right now they'd be awesome if I had standing beans. The deer didn't let them grow enough, so maybe next year I'll have to put a fence around them, even though I planted 12 acres of them. It's a lot of beans. But my corn, my corn's starting to kind of go beyond the end, but I diversified my food plots, and that I think helped a lot, where I had not just corn and beans in like a rotation, but I also had the greens and the brassicas, because they love, once that frost hits, they tear those brassicas up. But they like the greens in late season, as long as there's no snow on the ground. They like it. They'll dig them up still, but I found this year that with the diversity, my greens aren't as ate down to stubble like they normally are by this time of the year. And in years
Right on.
past,
So like you ever like what do you like in that case, so you're kind of like watching, sounds like you're like kind of sitting back, kind of watching over your where you're hunting at, and you got some food sources there. Are you kind of waiting or anything like that? Like, are you saying, all right, I'm gonna go kind of sit observation stands, kind of and just kind of do the slow play, or is there any like other like moon phases or anything you look at this time of year? Like you
well,
waiting for weather, or you kind of hoping that you're just hunting food sources, hoping something's gonna go from that being horny to hungry type
I've definitely been
transition.
I've been hunting like my favorite. It's my favorite spot there is, and I've been hunting that the most. I bounced around a little bit, and I typically do. And the cameras help you with the scouting, but it's where I have the most food planted on the whole farm. It's also, it's probably where I've shot the most bucks. So it's it's a good spot, and it's a good observation spot because you can see so much. And if I see a big buck work in a specific area, I can move closer. And that's, and I bounced around a little bit. Like I said, I've moved to spots where I didn't have cameras just to see what was going on. And it brought me back to where I am. So I have been watching the moon. I know it's about to be full here, so that's going to be a big problem. But, I don't think it's maybe till the 8th. I haven't looked at the specific date, but the moon was looking pretty full. And when it's overhead at night, it's going to be a definite problem because the deer are going to be out eating all night. So the hunting typically gets pretty hard around a full moon, unless you have a lot of cloud cover, because the deer can see enough to sit out in the fields all night and just keep eating. They're not on their usual, I got to feed earlier in the day, or, in mornings here, I don't even hunt because they're just so slow, especially this time of year. I haven't gone out hardly any mornings this year at all, but the evenings are always key around their guts. So the problem with the full moon, though, is they might not move till after dark, which they've been moving just before dark. I saw the most deer I'd seen since bow season, that, and gun opened the 19th this year of November. So what is it? I'm trying to look at my calendar here. It was almost 2 weeks ago today. So two weeks and one day ago, gun season opened here. So before that, the last time I think I bow hunted was November 13th. So that was 3 weeks ago. So the most deer I had seen since then was 2 days ago, and I saw 13 deer in one sit, which was typical for a bow hunting sit, was 15 to 20 deer.
So question for you. Like we're like so you got you're monitoring your deer herd with kind of sounds like observation stand and cameras, which it kind of sounds like the best of both worlds, right? So you can sounds like you can kind of hunt your location and still not put a lot of pressure on it, but you still got cameras set up. Like, is there any certain thing that you're kind of trying to pin those cameras on? Like, if you're saying, okay, if I had standing beans, that's that probably a location that you would maybe move something. You moving, really, are you moving them to food sources? Do you still have them on scrapes? Are you using transition areas? Like, what are you kind of doing? Try to pin down, like, if a buck wants to move into like your setup that you have created, this for this winter. Is there any certain way you're kind of pinning them down? Um, using those cameras, or is there certain places you have them that you're seeing more action on them, or anything like that?
Um, I want to say action wise, I've left a couple on scrapes still, just to see if they get open back up because I have a fair amount of fawns that are going to come into estrus here, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm really excited after late doe season this weekend because once muzzleloader closes on Wednesday, late doe season opens with rifle again for 4 days. And then after that, it's going to be bow for the rest of the year, which is the first time in a long time, I think, since I ever hunted here where it's just going to be bow only. So I think that's going to be huge. And having a good fawn crop, you're definitely going to have potential to have a big buck hanging around.
Okay, so yeah, that's what I was kind of wondering. Like, you're still in that kind of rut mentality where you're kind of monitoring the does,
Yeah.
and you're kind of sit that yeah that seems to be like what I'm kind of seeing as well. You just kind of just you're still kind of you're not really getting a lot of scrape action on cameras. So I know some guys move their cameras a lot. Do you tend to move your cameras throughout the season as like
I do
you kind of
from,
transitions, or
I mean,
you kind of
I
you
do
kind of leave
from
them
like
in the same spot?
early to rut. I do because I definitely move them to scrapes for primarily for you know identifying bucks. I at least have one camera per 40 on a scrape for rut, and even in September I'll have bucks on scrapes. It just depends. I've had big bucks that are core bucks hitting scrapes in September and even August for that matter. I had one with shed and velvet. He started using this one scrape I made, a mock scrape, and that was pretty cool in August, late August to have him on camera. So, typically that spot I'd never had a scrape and I just decided to put one there. It was just a good like field edge transition area where I'd get a lot of bucks cruising. It was a good, it was a good spot for cruising bucks. For some reason, they like that edge, and why not put a scrape there? Get them to stop, check it out a little bit. I did have a stand there till Mother Nature took the tree out I had it in. So I almost shot a big buck, 140's 8 out of that stand a couple of years ago that you actually shot at that buck too. So that buck got us both. You grazed him and I didn't even get to fire a shot at him. I went to pull up and he saw me move. He's lucky. He was
He was. I mean, he had
40 yards.
blame that on our inability to to practice shooting throughout the year. I guess fuck.
I
Yeah,
think mine
that's
on
the
that
word.
one was buck fever mostly because I waited for him. I watched him come out and he went towards my wife who was in another stand in the north, and I didn't think I was gonna get an opportunity to shoot him. And I was like, honey, if that deer gets close enough, shoot that deer. He's a nice deer. And she's just like blowing up my phone. Oh my God, he's not gonna get close enough. And then he started coming back towards me with the doe, or the doe started coming towards me. And then for some reason, the doe kind of was out farther, 60, 70 yards, and he decides to walk by me. And I had all these tree branches in the way, and he stops at 40 yards. And I'm like, oh man. Oh man. And then he saw the movement. I think he could hear me shaking in the tree. I was rattling. I was rattling that tree stand. How much I was shaking. Oh, that's the last one that's got me though. Oh, I tell you that.
I love that feeling, man. That's like the ultimate reason
To
that
hunt.
I love bow hunting. Yeah,
Yeah.
they have to get to that a little bit more intimate, distance, and it just man, if I ever lost that feeling, I tell you what, I don't know if I'd even go in the woods anymore. But
I mean, I've been bow hunting
I
for
haven't
eight.
seen the biggest deer I've ever gonna see yet, so I'm gonna keep looking for that motherfucker.
I've only been bow hunting for 8 years now, and I tell you what, I would do that year round instead of a gun. It's just I love it so much better. It's just a better time to be out in the woods, and the deer move so much more naturally, and you can tell when gun season opens, the difference in the pressure. It's just huge. And hopefully next year I plant more food for them though. I think I need more food for them. So um I mean, I planted like 30 acres this year, which I think I need to plant more corn though. My beans didn't grow enough. So, but we'll see next year how everything turns out. Mother Nature takes care of a lot of that stuff. So rain's a big attribute to how well your food plots can go.
I got another question for you. Do you ever use any like different tactics this time of year in December to because it's kind of like that crunch down. So like kind of run back. We're both chasing pretty big deer this year, looking for big deer. You've had a couple opportunities. Still, at the end of the day, we still got tags to fill. Um, is there anything that you kind of feel that crunch of like a fourth quarter, almost like, hey, I want to get this.
Definitely.
Like a goal every year is like, whatever your goal is. Do you kind of feel that pressure? Is there anything that you're going to try to do different or move around or anything that would kind of be off the wall that people would say, you'll never shoot a deer that way type thing, and see if maybe you can put one on the ground?
Um, I don't know if anybody would call it off the wall, but I mean, I've felt pressure in years past where I'm like, I gotta fill this buck tag before gun opens. And somebody's gonna shoot this deer I'm after. And this year I shot a really nice 12 point. I didn't recover them. And that kind of just I know I killed the deer. I just didn't find him. I'm hoping I still find him. I'm not quitting. I had one that I shot. You can't see him in this picture, but he's over there. He's 135-inch 10 point. I found him like 3 or 4 years after I shot him. So, I'm not going to give up on that deer because I know he's dead somewhere. But to me, that kind of took the pressure off me, I guess, because he was the biggest buck I had on camera this year. And I also had a crack at a really nice, 160-inch 10 point that I messed up. So I had my opportunities this year and I didn't, capitalize as well as I should have. And it's taken the pressure off me though. I'm not like, I need to have to fill this tag. I would like to, yeah, but I've had some really great opportunities where I'm happy with the success I've had so far with, as much work as I put into the woods and the fields. I put a lot of work into the fields this year. And I mean, I was out there every day. I think my wife wanted to divorce me. I was out there so much, but just need to get a seat for her on the tractor next so she can go bouncy
Right.
on there with me. But that's why they got
Ooh.
seats in combines so farmers don't get divorced. But
Yeah, I'm thinking, because you go ahead, sorry.
I just try to include the family as much as I can doing food plots, stuff like that. It helps taking my daughters out there with me, and eventually they'll be hunting too. So I know you're a family guy and love to introduce your girls. You take them out there hunting with you, and it's like a full circle when you take your family out there to do food plots, and they get to see what you're doing, and they're like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." And when they get older, they can do it too. Your kids.
Yeah, for sure. They definitely take an interest. I'm with you. I enjoy. The way I kind of look at it this year, I was wondering if you kind of maybe had the same idea. You got all this information, that you've accumulated since, some seasons, your season in Wisconsin, I'm in Michigan, you're opening up a little bit earlier, September 15th. And you have all this data, that you've had a couple good cracks. And what I've kind of seen in the past is like with that lower pressure, you do, if you stay focused and you stay committed to, the goal, you can set yourself up for a couple more opportunities, like in technically in states where you can bait or use scents, are you using any of that information that you gathered all year long to kind of like maybe say, okay, this part of the farm is better than this other part of the farm, and if I'm gonna, if it's 4th and 1, this is the play I'm gonna run type thing. Are you doing any of that?
Well, the only thing that kind of I hunted really smart in the beginning. I totally took the farm as like a big observation, and it just kind of hunted on fronts and sat when I totally had a front coming in and the weather was right. And that's why I had really good opportunities at big deer. I did not overpressure them. I did not hunt all my days off, every waking moment. I wasn't out there. And I used to do that. I used to go out there on my days off, every opportunity to hunt. And I hunted smarter. And it definitely showed. Now, gun season, I took some vacation for muzzleloader and I had rifle opener off, and I had a bunch of time off for bow and rut, which rut's all the time game. Like, put your time in the stand, you're gonna have a buck chasing a doe going by it. And that's kind of the way I look at it. Gun. Hi, honey. Oh, we have somebody awake right now.
Who is that?
It's Uncle Red.
Hey, Uncle
Hi, Charlotte.
You didn't take a nap, did you?
Ed. Nice doggy.
Hey, will you lay back down, please?
No, I'm not.
You're not tired?
No,
Will you please lay back down?
no.
No.
Is that a photo?
It's a video.
All right.
What?
Last question, man. We'll wrap this thing up.
Dad, is that you right there?
Yep, that's me.
What's
Yeah,
your what is your plan on how do you plan on accomplishing your goal of shooting a
Look at my arms.
shooter buck in December? Like how do you kind of see that kind of playing out?
Luck.
Like if you were gonna
Yeah, you wanna see
visualize,
something in my
if you were
purse?
gonna do the whole like Michael
shoes.
Jordan.
Yeah.
I
If I
wanna
was
walk
Michael
through the
Jo-
plays that
I mean, unless one
Michael
starts,
Jordan used to.
unless if one of these fawns comes in estrus right now, and that buck is glued. I mean, I know I have one big buck that's still alive right now, and I would shoot him. If he survives to next year, I won't be offended at all, because he's going to be 170-inch deer next year. Right now, he's probably like 150, 140s. He's a nice deer this year. Next year, he'll be a giant. So, it's one of those things where I'm not like, I'm like, yeah, he walks out in front of me, I'll shoot him. But if he doesn't, I'm not too mad. So if luck, kind of fate brings him my way, I'll shoot him. But I'm not gonna go out of my way. I'm not gonna go climb in the densest jungles of my property trying to look for him, because I feel like if he's hiding there, let him hide there, because he's safe there, and let him live
Oh, yeah,
another
for
year and get bigger. Because what's wrong with having a bigger deer?
Yeah, I kind of think, you gotta, me just personally knowing what your setup is, that you got a great opportunity to attract. We really haven't, at least here in Michigan, and it doesn't seem like you guys have in Wisconsin yet. That weather, we're really, it's a harsh weather. It's snow on the ground, and it covers browse, and it covers fallen acorns, where those deer, they have to move to survive, to
The
get
winter
closer
food
to
sources.
food, and I don't think we've had that yet, at
No,
least we
no.
haven't here. We had a little bit of snow, but I think you're setting yourself up. Do you think that any, of those other deer, maybe, now that you put the time and the work in, that's going to kind of pay off for you down here in December?
I think it's gonna, December usually is a very good time, because my food plots get busier with does. I think for bow season, it'll be really cool, because a late bow season is just what we need. Instead of having that holiday hunt they normally do, where you can use a rifle, and it's like a 7-day antlerless doe season, which is a lot of pressure. Yeah, I live right by the other county next to me that's going to have it. So, which they're going to have a lot of shooting over there, which could make the deer lay down. It's not that far away. So, but I think, we'll have a lot of deer move in, during when that snow does fall, to kind of clean up the rest of the food plots for a while. And usually they move to the big ag fields to overwinter, in February and stuff like that. But maybe this year, because I planted so much more corn and soybeans, it will be better. But we'll see. I'll be pretty happy if we have a lot of deer over winter here this year with what I planted. I'll definitely be like, well, next year's going to be even better if I do more. So
Yeah, for sure. Success. Yeah. Yeah. I think anytime you can, set yourself up for, the roller coaster of the deer season, that, this is one of the best, starting to become one of my favorite times of the year to hunt, in December. It's just, there's nothing really kind of that, is like hunting in December. It's you know, fastly growing to be one of my favorite times to be in the woods. But well, cool, man. I'm glad we got a chance to talk. We'll put this out there for everybody. And hopefully everybody has some good luck. Everybody's, still staying consistent
Yeah.
out there, just trying to shoot slammers, put them on the
Yeah.
ground. And
I mean, late
we'll
season,
be kind of,
late season has proved to have some nice bucks. I've seen some nice bucks, out coyote hunting that were still alive in December and stuff like that, driving to work because I drive to work at night. Seen a lot of nice bucks, right after muzzleloader closes. I'm like, oh, that one survived. I doubt he'll get shot in late bow. And there's really not a lot of guys that hunt late bow season. It's cold as heck. Unless you have some really good freaking, unless you hunt out of a gun blind that's heated or have some really good camo that keeps you warm. I mean, I've sat there in negative degrees trying to bow hunt before. And as soon as that sun crested, that last 20 minutes of light, I'm like, I'm stupid. And I walked in. It was so cold. And I was wearing Carhartts from head to toe that, normally would keep you warm, but it was brutal.
oh yeah. But for an opportunity at a mature deer, sometimes it's what the tactics take,
Right, right. Well, and when it gets cold like that, what does the deer move? The deer, or what does the deer do? They're going to move to stay warm. So, especially it was a nice bluebird day. It was just extremely cold. It wasn't windy at all. Today it's overcast. It's not windy at all. It's the first day that hasn't been over 10-mile-per-hour winds. I think it's going to be a really good day. The other night when I saw the most deer I'd seen in a while, the wind died right now. So I think that was a big, pusher of the deer was the wind dying out. Because typically the wind dies down the last half hour before light, dark. So last night it didn't die down at all. So today, I think it's 5 or 6 out. It'll be a pretty good day. Pretty good
I'm
day,
kinda
I
looking
think.
forward to one of those full moon nights, and like a bunch of snow just hit that holds all those deer down, and then hunt that first morning after something like that.
Yeah, I mean
I think that'd be
that's kind of fun to have like a holiday hunt, a late antlerless gun hunt when the snow's on the ground and you're in your gun blind. I do like that but a 7-day hunt's a little excessive. And that's the only thing I hate about that too is you can't when you have a bow buck tag, they don't let you shoot a bow buck at the same time. So it's like, okay, one day I want to go shoot a doe with the rifle. The next I want to go hunt a bow buck with a bow. Well, they don't allow it because I get it why they don't allow it. So, but I would just rather, trade one for the other. Maybe every other year have one and have the other, So, but 3 gun hunts should be enough anyways. I mean, you got rifle for 9 days, muzzleloader for 9, then you got a 4-day late doe season. I mean, that should be enough as it is.
Yeah, I mean, I think it gets to the point. I think our generation of hunters, as conservationists, we kind of, and guys that have really have got into hunting and hunting different and doing a lot of different, having a big book of tactics, from food plots to doing whatever, just being out in the woods. That it's I think all of us wish that there was some different way that they were managing these seasons. The us guys that are chasing big bucks, how hard it is to do that. And nothing against the traditions of the gun season or anything like that, but it would be nice just to kind of, limit, the the shooting of young deer. You know what I mean? I guess is as easy as you could say it. Like I mean, we all know we kind of all go about the same way.
We can
like
dive into
deer,
that
you shoot whatever, but
we can dive into that for another episode. We could make it a whole nother episode. So we'll make it the next one.
How long
all
do you
right.
want that one to be? An hour?
Yeah, we can. All right. We're gonna end this one right here. I'm gonna hit stop recording. Thanks for tuning in, people. Oh, it's just running out in minutes anyway. So you got anything you want to say for an end all? Peace
Shoot
out.
slammers.
Shooting slammers.